these stainless steel screws in these holes, corresponding holes, and then it screws into the flange. I'm going to put silicone in each layer, these 2 layers here, just to seal this thing up. Welcome back to the channel. I Know Enough to Be Dangerous Farm. It's Friday, so we're going to do nothing but fun stuff today. But one of the downfalls of living in the country is a septic system. So this is a new build, and we found out the hard way that there was something wrong with the problem was groundwater was getting into our septic tank. And when we had it installed, I was here as much as possible, but I'm not saying all builders are crooks, but you know, trust and verify, I guess. So the problem was, when I came here after work one day, it seemed to me, I know you know, I'm not a professional, but I know grades, and I was in business a long time. I know when something's too low, and I know when something's too high, even before rough grade was. So my eye could tell that the septic tank was a little lower than it should be from the position of the drain coming out of the foundation at the time. There was nothing else. There was no rough grade or anything. But try to tell somebody that thinks they know how to read a transit, you know, that they're wrong. But anyways, he goes, to make you feel better, I'll put risers on the openings, and so we won't have any problems with groundwater or anything, or getting to the tank to pump it out or any of that stuff. I was like, that'd be great. I was like, how much? He goes, well, no charge. So right there should have raised the red flag, because everything with this contractor, it was always an add-on, always extra money, but he was going to throw concrete risers on this septic tank for nothing. So that should have been my first red flag. But I came back the next day, there was 2 risers there filled up to, you know, not the top, but rough graded in, and there was 2 risers on there. So I was happy. I was like, cool, thanks. So I marked them, put it in the garage where the lids are, and we went on our way. So I did the finish grade. I like to play on equipment, you know that. So I rented a bulldozer and did the finish grade, and did a swale, drainage swale, two French drains, yada yada yada. Fast forward to two years later, almost 2 years later, you're in the house and you hear that dreaded glub 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 sound. Everybody that's on a septic system knows that sound. So I knew something was up. In construction, there's usually not a coincidence. So the previous day and overnight, we had a lot of rain. I mean, the most rain we've ever had at one time while we've been here. So I go out and I open up the tank, and it's just bubbling over with groundwater. So I was like, oh my God, I don't know how it got in, because, you know, around the lids wasn't saturated, but, you know, groundwater was all muddy water. So I knew it was groundwater in the septic tank. So I scrounged around down in the greenhouse, found an old submersible pump, pumped the groundwater out so we could use the bathroom. And to top things off, I was on my way to catch a plane at the airport all the days. So I got that pumped down. The last chamber, the gray water chamber was all clean. I knew it would, everything drained out of the house fine. So I knew the wife and kids would be fine while I was out of town for a couple days. So while I'm on the plane, you know, binging on, you know, something, I'm just trying to think, how did groundwater get in that tank? We got risers, blah blah blah. Like, well, must be those risers aren't sealed or something like that. So while I was away, we had the rest of the tank pumped. I just felt better to have the tank pumped, and the company that actually set the tank was the one that pumped it. We didn't know who set the tank, because, you know, we're working through a GC. So he says, I uncovered the 2 lids that I knew about, and he goes, do you want me to uncover that 3rd lid in the middle? So my wife calls me, and I was like, I don't think we have 3 lids. He goes, he's pretty sure, the guy here is pretty sure there's 3 lids, and there's one in the middle. So I said, if he can, you know, if he has to dig it out, we'll pay him, or can you just suck it out from where it is? The 2 openings was the first chamber and the second chamber. You should be fine. So that's what he did. So he gave my wife a PDF of what the tank actually looks like, and this PDF has 3 lids. And I was like, no, I only got 2 risers. So, well, anyways, I got back from being out of town and I dug in between the two risers that were there, and lo and behold, I found another lid 2 foot down, cracked, and that's how the groundwater was getting in. So fast forward to today, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to put 8-inch risers on the risers we already have, and I'm going to put this big bear on the middle one that doesn't have any sort of riser. So what this is, instead of me manhandling a piece of concrete riser, I'm going to put one of these plastic risers made by VPC. Comes in a couple different parts because they sell a bunch of different heights. It'll have a nicer lid I can inspection lid or sucking out lid that those concrete lids, and it's 2 foot in the ground. I have meat hooks, but it's a chore to get it out of there. It comes with a ring, some stainless steel screws. Well, at least they look like stainless steel screws, and I'm gonna caulk the bottom flange to the concrete tank itself, and I'm gonna put some silicone adhesive in between these two layers. Just now I've got groundwater in my septic tank. I'm paranoid to get groundwater in my septic tank, and that's the reason we had to do that weep trench, because I couldn't get water out of my leach field. It just flowed back in, but a leach field is supposed to be stagnant with a little bit of it's supposed to be level. Who knows if that's level? I put that weep drain in to get rid of that groundwater. It's not connected to my leach field, but if it ever overflows again, it should take care of that. But now that I can inspect it easier, and we'll get on a maintenance. We were going to get on a maintenance to pump the tank every 3 to 5 years anyways, but it's only been 2 years. It shouldn't be full of water, and it was groundwater because it was brown, muddy water that was in there. So this is what we're doing today, and I'll show you. I won't bore you with how to put it together. It's just got some screw holes. I got my partner here. So you just put these stainless steel screws in these holes, corresponding holes, and then it screws into the flange. I'm going to put silicone in each layer, these 2 layers here, just to seal this thing up. Okay, I'm back. So like I said, I'm going to put some probably some sealant right along here, and then line up the screws where the screw holes are, obviously, and then we're going to put this bad boy together. I'm using whatever silicone-based material I could find in my miscellaneous caulk tubing box. I don't know if you're supposed to put sealant in between all the layers and stuff like that, but like I said, I'm paranoid now, and I have this stuff. I am going to seal it up. Just found one thing the hard way. Put my finger right across that. That's a screw that came down. I guess I drove it a little too far. I'm gonna back some of these out because it won't sit flat. Okay, now we're back where the tank is. Viewer discretion advised. Just warning you. So here's the tank. Here's riser 1, riser 2, and the culprit. See, it's a concrete lid, does not seal, has a crack, chip missing out of the one side. Groundwater was just pouring into that. I didn't even know this was here, because when I uncovered the lids, I knew about the 2 that I knew about. This one and this one I uncovered for the guy. I uncovered this one. So I'm going to put a layer of sealant right around this on the bottom of that flange. And I cleaned it off. I scraped it with a paint scraper, shovel, all that. And then I used brake clean, multi-use brake clean. You can use it for everything. And here's a fun fact, pro tip. If you have some little cuts on your hand that you forgot where they are, just spray a little brake clean on your hand. You'll find them in a hurry. Okay. Anyway, so I used brake clean because I knew it would clean the surface right down to the bare concrete, and it evaporates fast, and that's what's happened. So this should be nice and clean. We'll set our riser in there and we should be good to go. Now we'll let that set for a little bit. I'll backfill it. I used to have some well casing sealer. I'm going to see if I have some of that. I'll put down on the bottom of that flange, and then we'll call that good. Don't get any more groundwater in it, and it's easier to get the lid off, not lifting up that, I don't know what that thing is. It's got to be close to 100 pounds, and it's way down in the hole. So these other ones on the side are going to get shorter risers when they get here, and then we'll do the same process there, and we should be all set. Thanks for stopping in, and hopefully we do something a little bit more fun next time.